Hey guys, Frank Macaluso here. Welcome to episode 4A of the N54 preventative maintenance video series. My name is Frank Macaluso and we are working on the valve cover gasket today. If you look at video 4, right there, part 4, you'll see that we were able to access the valve cover and all the bolts, and now we are going to be removing the valve cover and replacing the gasket. So take a look right down here. You'll see that we have all of the hardware has been loosened. Everything, even these long guys over here too, everything's been loosened, and now we just need to put a plastic pry bar in there, twist a little bit, free it loose, and then work it out. So once you got them all loose, you just basically pry a little plastic pry bar in here. See if you can get it in, right? You hear that? This is actually proving a bit difficult. It's not as easy as just stick it in here and pry. There's a lot of pressure that's still being put down on here, and I think it might be because there's something still in the way of getting the valve cover out. So I'm going to try to remove the fuel rail, or at least loosen it up. In order to do that, I need to remove the air intake. So that should be pretty easy, but it's inevitable anyway. But might as well just remove it, take that out, and at least I can get some more prying opportunities to pull that out as well, which make things a little bit easier. Not a bad investment for just like 5 minutes of just removing this and pulling this out. Should be pretty easy. So I got the valve cover off, but not with a little bit of extra effort. These two tubes, vacuum tubes that go to the boost solenoids, had to be removed. This tube, structural member that goes between the firewall and the strut housing, had to be at least removed and pushed up in order to get it over the injectors. And speaking of the injectors, having removed the injectors before I removed the valve cover would have been a lot easier, because then it doesn't have to clear this extra height, but I kept them in. When I reinstall, I will remove the injectors beforehand. In fact, I want to take the injectors out and inspect them as part of this video. I think that's also very important as well. So now that I've gotten it off, now it's a matter of just cleaning around the outside edge, removing the valve cover removing the valve cover gasket from the valve cover, and installing the new one with all the new hardware. Fuel lines, I also want to label the injectors 1 through 6. That way I know when I'm removing them, I'm putting them back in the same cylinder slot. In fact, I want to check the seals on those injectors as well, just to make sure that they're not gunked up or dirty or carbon buildup. That tends to happen. They leak, you have blow-by, you have misfires, and it's a big problem. I don't know if these are index 6 or 10 or 12 injectors, but we'll pull them out and we'll take a look. Whatever they are at this point. My customer does not want to replace them at this point. It's not really that difficult to do it later, so it's low risk. Very, very easy to remove the injectors. Here we have a slide hammer, and here I've created my own weldment. This is an M12 by 1.5, which screws right onto the head of the injector. And this is the slide hammer, which is actually a 9/16 18 thread size. So you screw that into this side. Now I'm not going to pull it off yet because I still need to remove the actual nut or the stud that holds the two in place. So this guy needs to be removed. This is the clamp that actually holds the injectors on. Now that that's been removed, now it's just a couple taps of the hammer and this thing should come right on out. There it is. And that is injector number 1. As you can see here, I don't know if you can see it, this actually is a pretty good looking injector. What you see here is you see a -12 right in this corner, which would denote an index 12 injector. These are the original injectors, which I believe are index 6 or 10. Regardless, we're going to keep them, and we're just going to inspect the seals, and we're going to be installing the injectors after we reinstall the valve cover to make it a little bit easier. So we've got our old gasket here, and the only way to remove it, the easiest way to remove it, is to just peel it up and out. And it should come out as one piece. And usually the signs of an older gasket is that it's brittle, is that it's kind of, when you press on it and deform it, it actually holds a little bit and takes its shape, and then it kind of slowly bounces back. This is a new rubber, and you can tell the difference when you feel both of these in your hands. That one is way more pliable and new, obviously, than the other. So we are going to be replacing this guy. This three-striped leg, right, this piece here slips into the mold of the valve cover, and then this piece is what pushes up against the cylinder head. And we have our new hardware. We have to get rid of the old hardware, and the easy way to do that is to just take a punch and basically hold it right here, because it comes with the sleeve, so the sleeve should come out with it, and you just kind of just take it and go, that's it. So you take it and you take your old aluminum hardware, throw it in the trash bin. All right, so the new valve cover gasket is installed. I was sure to push all the little nubs in so that this thing actually holds in, because I'm going to have the valve cover upside down as I'm installing it. You need to make sure that this holds in place so it doesn't fall out. I also took out all the hardware and of course the coil sleeves. That's going to make reinstallation of this so much easier. I'm not going to be battling with the tips of the bolts going through and catching on other bolts and things like that. So I'm thinking that this is going to be very easy to install. So let's just see how long it takes for me to just slip it right in, first take, and get it all in and see what happens. Kind of already fell. That already fell out. All right, third time was a charm. I finally got it in after I removed the crossbar there. That allowed this all to be pulled up a lot higher, and I have a couple banjos here and some zip ties that are holding it in place, and that'll all come down when I release them. But yeah, the big part here is making sure that I wasn't pinching any of these wires, especially these two oxygen sensor wires around the back. I've seen them being pinched on that back corner there when you put the valve cover back on. But right now everything looks good. Now it's time to put the new hardware on, torque it all up, and then we can move on to the next thing. Well, actually, no, we're basically done with valve cover gasket replacement at that point. Now I know it looks like I might be jamming them all down with the tool, but I'm not. I'm just using it to get them all down. If you see here, if I just go like that, slow it up as I'm getting closer to the end, and once I start feeling that pressure, I ease it right on out. Now the goal here is to torque all of these down to 75 inch-pounds, and use your tool and just slowly torque it. $75, done. And let's do it for them all. Do it for them all. One of the main reasons why you want to really abide by the torques, especially for the valve cover gasket, is because if you put too much torque on those, that rubber seal is going to have a lot of pressure here, and wherever there's a bolt, there's going to be a lot of pressure. This principle actually applies for oil pan gaskets as well. If you torque it too much and put too much pressure, point pressure wherever the bolts are, then the places where there's no bolt or no fastening location, it's going to basically separate a little bit. So if you use the correct torque and only ease them down just a little bit, then it applies the uniform pressure of that gasket and allows that gasket to adhere around the entire perimeter of the valve cover. So you really want to make sure that you abide by the torques in this application. Very, very important. All right, the valve cover is installed. All of the bolts have been torqued down. Everything is good. Even these 10mm deep socket bolts have been torqued down to spec. 75 inch-pounds, guys, on all these. Now the rest of this is installation is the reverse of the removal. We have a lot here still to put back together, but the valve cover gasket is fixed. And having said that, this video has been completed. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching the N54 maintenance series. My name is Frank Macaluso from Garageaholic. Check out all the other videos in the playlist if you're interested to see what else we do on this 2007 335i. Take it easy, guys, and thanks a lot for watching. Later.